Testing. Let me hear myself real quick. I'm viewing the stream. Let me see if I hear myself. Yeah, I can hear myself a little bit better. Uh-oh. I hear a little crackling. Down to the ground. Bear with me, guys, okay? I'm trying to adjust the audio. Hello. I think this is good enough. Hello. Alright, I think I'm just gonna roll with this. I can hear myself a little bit good. So, today I'm gonna discuss the AWS outage today. Going to explain it. Supposedly they said that a hacker brought it down, correct? But that's not the case. That's not what happened. What happened was that I guess the DNS servers running on the East Coast. So let me bring that up real quick. AWS East 1, right? I believe, or let's do this. AWS server regions. Let's see what I have. So this would be it. Let's see what the site itself gives us. So yeah, this is perfectly it. So these are the server centers of AWS, right? If you don't know what a cloud computing environment is, so in other words, imagine being a big company, right? Like let's just say, my company, right, .com, and you're selling, t-shirts or whatever. And what you do is that you host your website on the AWS cloud, right? Normally there's other service providers. There's like GoDaddy.com and all these other domain services that they host websites in their own servers, right? So AWS, what they did is that they're trying to take over the market. They're pretty much trying to, they want to make sure you use their websites or their servers to host web content. And this is a good and bad thing. The bad thing is that if their services go down, so do a lot of the internet services that you're used to, right? Amazon went down, Amazon.com went down, Alexa went down, which is the voice talk to Google thingy that they use. I don't have an Amazon Alexa, whatever that is. I don't have one at home. But, there's a bunch of companies that also host their web services on AWS, right? So, whether it's, Jack in the Box or Del Taco, etc. All these companies, what they like doing is they like hosting all their web content onto these cloud servers. And if they go down, again, a lot of the internet could go down as well. So let's learn a little bit more about the server locations. If I'm not mistaken, Virginia was the one that was hit. I think that's their older location, and I believe it was a DNS bug. If you don't know what DNS is, I'll explain it real quick. So, what is DNS? DNS, or domain name system, is the internet's phone book translating human-friendly domains like google.com into machine-readable IP addresses like 172.217.160.152. So this is a perfect example, right? So the issue with the AWS services today was that there was a bug on their DNS program. So the DNS program wasn't pointing to the right IP addresses, right? So let's just say Jack in the Box hosted all their internet content on an AWS cloud, right? So if you went to jackinthebox.com, the first thing that happens is your computer communicates with the DNS server, and then that DNS server communicates to whatever DNS server that web content is being hosted in. AWS has their own DNS server, Google has their own DNS server, AT&T, Time Warner Cable, these internet providers all have their own DNS server. And again, the DNS server, what it does is that it translates human readable text, like for example yahoo.com, google.com, espn.com, into machine readable IP addresses, right? So that's computers, the only thing that they understand is the IP address. They don't care about the text. You know what I mean? So when they communicate with the server, they want to know that it's IP address. So a DNS converts google.com into an IP address. So again, the AWS issue or the cloud services that were down today happened because there was a DNS issue. So the DNS domain name system wasn't able to convert jackinthebox.com into the right server. It couldn't point it out to the right one. And again, because Jack in the Box is hosting its content on the AWS server, no other domain could give you the information. It can't serve you jackinthebox.com because jackinthebox.com is being hosted on the AWS server, if that makes sense, correct? So yeah, so I just wanted to explain to you guys that it wasn't hacked in any kind of way, and it was some sort of bug. And in fact, a professor, if I'm not mistaken, from a university in London said that this outage actually proved that if a malicious actor somehow was able to penetrate into the AWS servers, that they can bring down a lot of these services that are very vital to people, right? A lot of people, again, weren't able to access important information, like, you know, whether like or they weren't able to order food, they weren't able to talk to Alexa, they weren't able to order stuff via Amazon.com, which is so vital to some people. A lot of people really rely on buying stuff from there, and it just showed that if a malicious actor had bad intentions into bringing AWS down, it just shows you how much of the important internet infrastructure is being held by one entity, right? So let's learn a little bit more about the locations, because let's see if we want. Let's click on this one. So North America, right? So it looks like there's AWS Cloud, Gov Cloud, and then East Virginia. This is the one that I'm hearing was the one that was had a bunch of outdated software, and somehow that gave up. And then you have Canada Central. You have one in Canada. Well, actually two. You have the West, and then the Central one, and then on the West Coast you have Oregon, and then Northern California, right? So these are server centers that host these AWS services on them, and the one over here on the East Coast caused the outage. Regions. AWS has the concept of region, which is a physical location around the world where we cluster data centers. We call each group of logical data centers an availability zone. Each AWS region consists of a minimum of 3 isolated and physically separated AZs within a geographic area. Unlike the other cloud providers, we often define a region as a single data center. The multiple AZ design of every AWS region offers an advantage for customers. Each AZ has independent power, cooling, physical security, and is connected via redundant ultra-low latency networks. AWS customers focus on high availability, can design their application to run in multiple AZs to achieve even the greater fault tolerance. AWS infrastructure regions meet the highest levels of security, compliance, and data protection. AWS provides a more extensive global footprint than any other cloud provider, and to support its global footprint and ensure customers are served across the world. AWS opens new regions rapidly. AWS maintains multiple geographic regions, including regions in North America, South America, Europe, China, Asia Pacific, South Africa, and the Middle East. Availability zones, right? That's what the AZ stands for. An availability zone is one or more discrete data centers with redundant power networking connectivity in the AWS region. AZ gives customers the availability to operate production applications and databases that are more highly available, fault tolerant, and scalable than would be possible from a single data center. All AZs and AWS regions are interconnected with high bandwidth, low latency networking over fully redundant dedicated metro fiber provided high throughout low latency network AZs. All traffic between AZs is encrypted. The network performance is sufficient to accomplish synchronous replications between AZs. AZs make partitioning applications for high availability easy. If an application is partitioned across AZs, companies are better isolated and protected from issues such as power outages, lightning strikes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and more. AZs are physically separated by meaningful distances and many kilometers from any other AZ, although all are within 100 km, 60 miles from each other. I find this interesting. The one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of websites went down, so this is kind of contradictory, right? So let's just say Jack in the Box went down again. I'm using that as an example, and actually their app did go down. I tried ordering something from there and I couldn't do anything. So what I'm saying is that so all the content for Jack in the Box was being hosted on the Virginia server side, right? So it wasn't available, in other words, right? Like they could have maybe duplicated the Jack in the Box content into the West Coast server sides or their data centers and could have made it available there, right? They could have just shut down the Virginia data center. They could have just gone in there, investigated, see what was the issue, remove all the old equipment, update software, investigate what was the issue, right? And then, start it back up again and keep it going like that. Obviously, that wasn't the case. They didn't duplicate data around different data centers around the country. And as we can see, there's about 4 of them. So there's 2 on the West Coast, and there might be 3 on the East Coast. Yeah, see, I didn't even see it. There's one really hidden right here. So the one that caused the outages was this one again, Virginia. So these other 2 should have actually picked up the slack, and they should definitely duplicate the content just in case one server's data center goes down, and they can keep it going. So yeah, let's read a quick article. Let's see. The AWS outage. Let's see. Massive Amazon outages takes down Venmo, Snapchat, Alexa, Reddit, and much more. Ooh. Elon Musk promotes X chat, mocks signal for dependency on this. So let's read this one real quick. Of course, Elon Musk always has some bullshit to say. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure he's holding his X.com content on those servers on that data center he has in Memphis, which also runs the Grok AI. So sometimes it's just better to have your own data center because you can host your content and do all kinds of stuff, right? So that's what Amazon does as well. Amazon.com, when it first started, they paid companies to host their web content, and as soon as they started making money, they just said, "Screw this! We're gonna open up our own data centers, and then put our web content on these data centers." And then once they figured out that they had more space than they were using, they just started renting out their free space, and that's where these cloud systems came from, and that's why Amazon is one of the biggest domain service provider. So let's read this article. AWS outage. Elon Musk promotes X chat. Mock signal for dependency on Jeff Bezos' company. After an outage on Amazon Web Services knocked out many messaging and streaming platforms, billionaire Elon mocked them for their over-reliance on the tech giant. In a series of in a series of posts on X, Musk wrote that it was pretty weird that an AWS outage caused Signal to fail, criticizing the messaging platform's use of centralized cloud infrastructure. It means that AWS is in the loop and can take out Signal at any time. Musk wrote, quoting another user's post, which read, "Why is the AWS outage affecting Signal? I thought you were decentralized." Musk used the outage to promote his own platform, XChat, claiming that it was dependent of AWS and fully encrypted. "No advertising hooks or strange AWS dependency," he said. "I can't read your messages even if someone put a gun to my head." Such a weird thing to say. Musk also posted a short follow-up message simply stating X works to underscore that his platform has stayed online while others, including Signal, were hit. I've never used Signal, so I don't even know what the heck that is. So let me Google that real quick. Signal. Oh, it's a messaging. Signal is an open source encrypted messaging service for instant messaging, voice calls, and video calls. The instant messaging function includes sending text, voice notes, images, videos, and other files, communicating one to one another. Let's see if it's up. I mean, if it's down, suppose I won't be able to use it. Well, here it is. I've never used it before, but I guess it's some sort of, it's a VoIP, whatever it's called, Voice over Internet Protocol, where you could call somebody over the internet, you could text somebody over the internet. It's that kind of app service, my bob. But X is Starlink didn't skip a beat. The entire internet. AWS East 1. So of course he's joking around with this, right? Look, I guess this is Signal, jackinthebox.com, Alexa, Reddit, etc., and it was being all held together by one data center. The billionaire reposted his several posts explaining that the privacy features on X XChat, the best part of XChat is that you can make encrypted audio and video calls without ever sharing your phone number. Total privacy, total freedom. One of the posts read. Time to uninstall Signal. It's XChat time. That's what this guy, right? Dodgy Designer said. WhatsApp, Signal, Messenger, Instagram. They still collect your data. Consider switching to XChat, end-to-end encrypted for real privacy, group chat, and team collaboration. No AWS, no third-party dependencies, no ads, no hidden trackers, text, files, transfer voice. I mean, I'm kind of sold on this XChat. I don't think I need it, but if I never needed one, I definitely tune into that one. So let's see what Tech Radar says. Massive Amazon outage takes down Venmo, Snapchat, Alexa, Reddit, and much of the internet. All the latest AWS updates live. A huge, oh, a huge Amazon Web Services outage has taken out multiple web services, including Alexa, Ring, Reddit, Snapchat, Wordle, and many more. The issue started around 12:40 a.m. Eastern Time, 7:40 a.m. BST, when a large spike on down detectors showed the reported problems with Amazon Web Services, which in turn has taken down many services that rely on its cloud computing power. That exact cause of the issue isn't clear, but the Amazon Web Services dashboard showed an operational issue in Northern Virginia, one of its biggest data centers. The AWS dashboard says engineers are immediately engaged and are actively working on both mitigating the issue, and the most recent post says it's continuing to apply mitigation steps for the problems. The knock-on effects are widespread with over 1,000 business impacts, including many banks. You can follow all the latest updates here on the AWS Lab blog. The AWS outage is still ongoing, though the number of problems being reported are a small fraction of what they were at the peak of this afternoon. The down detector site lists about 10% of the complaints currently that we saw at the noon here on the east coast of the U.S. Some networks relying on the AWS services still seem impacted, including Netflix, the PlayStation Network, and Twitch. Ooh, interesting. Other services like Ring video doorbells and medical payment systems seem to have mostly recovered. Amazon has not commented further on their AWS outage on its company's newsroom site, and so are we still unsure exactly what happened or how many sites were impacted globally. Our friends at LREC speculate this may have been an ongoing result of Amazon's brain drain problems, and this may not be the last AWS outage we see in the future. Are things getting better for most sites? It seems the Amazon Web Service issues are being resolved, but a few standouts remain troubled. Netflix users are still reporting massive outages, and the situation is improving slowly. We're also seeing reports from Twitch users that streaming services having problems, and those could also be related to the AWS woes. Isn't everything, huh? So we see AWS for Amazon around 2:07 p.m. today. We continue to reduce the throttles for AC2 instances launches in the U.S. East 1 region, and we continue to make progress towards pre-event levels in all availability zones. AWS services such as ECS and Glue, which rely on EC2 instances, launches will recover as successful instances. The launch improves. We see full recovery for Lambda and vocations, and are working through the backlog of queued events, which we expect to be full processed in approximately the next 2 hours. We will provide another update by 2:30 p.m. Alright guys, so that's my whole point of making today's video is the AWS outage was not caused by hackers. It was caused by a flaw in the DNS server. Even though I didn't really read it here, I read you why or the effects of it, but I was told it was a DNS outage. But let's see root cause. What root cause brings Oh, there we go. I saw DNS. What caused Amazon's AWS outage, and why do so many major apps go offline? What happened and what caused the AWS outage? At about 07 GMT, Amazon's cloud service experienced a major outage, meaning some of its systems stopped working, which disrupted many popular apps and websites, including banks, gaming platforms, and entertainment services. The problem started in one of AWS main data centers in Virginia, its oldest and biggest site, and a technical update to the API, a connection between different computer programs of DynamoDB, a cloud database service that stores user information and other important data for many online platforms. The root cause appears to have been an error in the update that affected the domain name system, which helps apps find the correct server address. A DNS works like the internet's phone book, turning web site names into numeric IP addresses that computers use to connect. As I explained to you guys earlier at the beginning of this video, the root cause of the AWS outage today, October 20th, 2020, was the fact that there was a software issue with the domain name system. Again, let's just say Jack in the Box hosted all their web content and all their web services, whether you use the app or, whether you use the main desktop services, that's all being hosted on the AWS cloud infrastructure. So what happened was that the domain name system was having trouble communicating and translating jackinthebox.com into the IP address that your computer will need to communicate with to get the web content, right? So that was the issue. Again, people say that it got hacked. We will 100% prove that it didn't. So I'm just here to, declassify that myth or whatever you want to call it, or prove that it never got hacked. That wasn't the situation. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching my video. Feel free to hit that like button, share, subscribe.